So, should you start a podcast for your business? Honestly, the answer might surprise you. Probably not. I'm going to share with you the reasons why I think a podcast should probably be put on the back burner if you're thinking about starting one for your business. But also, I'll share with you how you can get started if it's something that you're passionate about. You're not going to want to miss this. So you heard right. I do not think it's a very good idea for you to start a podcast for your business. Now, before I get into all the reasons why, please do me a big favor and hit that like button. It really helps. And if anybody else out there is thinking about starting a podcast, giving this video a like will help make sure they get to see this video. Okay, let's jump right in. The first reason why I don't think it's a good idea is simply return on investment. Now, trust me, I should know. I have a podcast going right now that I never even talk about simply because it is literally, like I said, on the back burner for me. But about 5 years ago, I did have another podcast, which was a storytelling podcast with a good friend of mine. Now, we would interview newsmakers, celebrities, athletes, and we actually got thousands of downloads every single episode. But I want to be honest and transparent with you that we made almost no money from that podcast. Now, don't get me wrong, we had a great time. My co-host and I, we went out and interviewed everyone from JFK's Secret Service agent to world-renowned Olympians. In fact, if you're interested in checking out those old episodes, I will leave a link down below in the description. So if you're going to dedicate time each week to have a podcast for your business, just know that there is not going to be income coming in right away simply because you are dedicating time each week to find guests, record episodes, and if you are a solo entrepreneur, edit and post those episodes. Reason number two why a podcast may not be a good idea is something I like to call passive engagement. You see, podcast listeners are using their phone, but they're usually doing something else. It could be cutting the grass, walking the dog, even taking a shower. So if you're leaving calls to action like click the link in the description or go check out your website, it more likely than not, they are going to be doing other things while listening. And so you're going to find that the conversion rate or that click-through rate could be very, very low. Now, of course, there's ways around that where you could incentivize or offer to do some sort of giveaway, and those sort of things work really well too. But just be prepared that this is not a visual medium, something like a Tik Tok or a YouTube. Reason number three is something I like to call the bad algorithm problem. You see, YouTube's algorithm will actually take a video that's doing well and continue to push it out to more and more people, like as suggested content. But Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, they're not really in the game to where people are going and searching for specific topics within those podcast players. Rather, people are finding shows, hitting subscribe, and just having it show up in their own feed. So I think in the future, that problem can be addressed whenever Apple decides to step up and start owning that podcast space. But in the meantime, it's very, very difficult to be discovered as a podcast that's just out there floating around. Now, the final two things I wanted to talk about before we move on to how you actually could start your own podcast if you still think it's a good idea is high burnout rate and little repurposing opportunities. In terms of burnout, imagine you are starting a podcast and you line up those first 5 or 10 guests. And things are going pretty well. You're releasing an episode every week, and now all of a sudden you're 2-3 months in. Well, think ahead to the next 45 guests, the next 95 guests. You need to continually email these people, ask them to be on the show, coordinate schedules and recording time, and it can get to be a lot when you have things like regular life getting in the way, your business, holidays, and it might be nice just to take a little time off, a brief hiatus. Well, oftentimes when people feel that burnout, they call it pod fading. They just sort of release an episode and it's the last one, and their audience and them didn't even realize it. In fact, I found an interesting statistic I'll throw up on the screen right now that over 75% of podcasts have stopped production. So out of the millions that are out there, maybe only 25% are still releasing new episodes regularly. And the other reason why might be the little repurposing opportunities. You see, a lot of content creators might take things like a YouTube video and then chop it up into little mini pieces, put a little bit here on TikTok, a little bit here on Instagram Reels. With a podcast being audio only, you may find it difficult to put an audio clip on a place like Twitter or Pinterest, if you can kind of see what I mean. So again, if you're thinking of starting a podcast, you may want to think twice. It may not be the best use of your time to help grow your business. However, I mentioned it before, there's a few things I would suggest doing and pursuing and spending your time on before starting your own podcast. Item number one would be YouTube. Of course, I'm going to say that. I've been doing this for just over a year. Currently, I'm at about 26,000 subscribers, and I bring in thousands of dollars in revenue every single month. Now, I don't say that to brag. I simply say that to encourage you to get in front of the camera and hit record. Maybe you want to start with a quick video just introducing yourself, or even try that new YouTube hashtag Shorts format. No matter what, I do think YouTube should be the first place you spend your time and energy because it potentially could help grow your business. Now, my second recommendation for where you could spend your time and money would be a website. Now, stick with me here because I know that seems like an old school way of thinking, but nowadays websites are like the digital business card. It's a place where people can go to and check out who you are, link to all your other social medias, and it would be a great place eventually even to put that podcast. However, I do one-on-one consultation calls with hundreds of business owners, and they don't have that landing page, that website set up yet. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, I'm going to leave a link down below to a site called Bandzoogle. I know that's a crazy name, Bandzoogle, but it's where I had my old website for that original podcast. And there you can actually do things like sell merch, digital downloads, host your own podcast, and even build your own website, all for a very, very low fee. Trust me, I have gotten my own website off the ground since starting this channel, and it can be very expensive and time consuming. So if you want to just set something up that can show off who you are and what you have to offer, and then eventually grow it, I think Bandzoogle is a great place to start. Number three, I would recommend TikTok. As you can see, I'm on TikTok, and I pretty much just repurpose these YouTube videos there. I'm not doing the funny dances, and despite what some of my students would love to see from me, I'm not out there doing funny pictures following all the trends. However, there's a real potential to go viral with that short form vertical style videos. You would be very surprised what people would enjoy watching. Maybe a time-lapse video of somebody doing some sort of craft or artwork. These are things people just love watching, so please, I would encourage you to start posting a little bit more frequently for your business on TikTok. And I do just want to address a few things here. Podcasting equipment, when you are ready to start, it can be expensive and can be kind of difficult to learn how to use. Some of the things I just mentioned, like starting on YouTube or TikTok, could be as easy as just starting with your cell phone. Now, some of you might be thinking to yourself that I'm leaving out things like Instagram or LinkedIn or Pinterest. I think all of those serve a place, but in terms of where you can get the most return on investment and not feel that potential for burnout, I would hit up these other suggestions that I just made first. Okay, a couple of key takeaways. Podcasting is not for everyone. It takes a special type of motivated person to extend their brand via a podcast. And I just want you to be aware that creating a brand around a podcast is very, very challenging. When you're putting content out into the world, it's natural to want it to connect with your audience. You're looking maybe for some positive feedback. I can tell you that podcasting can sometimes be crickets. It doesn't mean people aren't going to share it on social media or leave you a positive review, but I can tell you that some of the other things that I have addressed in this video, you're going to see a bigger ROI and maybe feel a little bit more satisfied with, potentially even earn more money with. So I would definitely recommend pursuing those first. And you know what? Please do me a quick favor. If you made it to the end of this video, share with me your favorite podcast. I would love to learn about some more. If it's your own podcast, I'd love to check it out as well. So leave a link down below in the comments and I'll check it out. All right, once again, don't forget to give this video a like. And if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. All right, as always, I'm Rich, and until next time.